There is a magical operation of maximum importance. The initiation of a new aeon. When it becomes necessary to utter a word, the whole planet must be bathed in blood.
Ah, yes. Welcome to Deadhaus Whispers.
Greetings, everyone. Calypso here. It's been a bit, but now we're back. Welcome to Deadhaus Whispers, where we talk about everything Deadhaus not related, be it books, movies, games, podcasts, other things, everything, anything in between that can be relatable or in tune with Deadhaus Sonata. And as always, I am joined by my other host, Faceless Mike.
Greetings, hello, and welcome.
How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a good week. Things have gone well. Everything is progressing. And we had a really interesting radio play last night that we'll talk about in a few minutes. And just as a shout out, after the radio play, I don't know how many people know this. If you ever get to listen to them live or not, you should, but I don't judge because I know people work and, different times around the globe. There's always a bit of an after party chat kind of thing in the Discord. And we had George jump in last night and there was quite a few people there and we had a blast. It was real fun.
I remember them being fun back when I could actually jump into after party chats. But yeah, it's always fun. If you are new and this is your first listen to Deadhaus Whispers or hearing Deadhaus Sonata, you can find Deadhaus on Discord, and that's where all of this stuff goes down. And yeah, check out
You'll
the
be able to
website.
find everything Deadhaus.
Everything on deadhaussonata.com. That's Haus, like Bauhaus, only it's Deadhaus Sonata. Yes. So Deadhaus Sonata, Haus.com. However, whatever George says at the ending of the episodes, the radio dramas. And this episode from last night was so good. I don't know if you want to get right into it.
Yeah, we'll just get right into it. We'll do the shilling afterwards. Just get right into it because it was just way too good. It was way too good.
It was. Oh man, it was. It was so good. Once again, George Ledoux does a fantastic performance as Alaric von Beller of the Thasian Empire, and then the ghoul played by whose name I forgot. Matt Curtis also does a fantastic freaking job. Like, oh, it's so good, man. Like if you guys are into any horror podcasts or whatever, and like you think the voice acting is really good, like this is top tier, man. Like, oh man, it's so good. If you guys are Legacy of Kain fans, obviously high quality voice acting, that's what you want, right? So only the best for Deadhaus Sonata. But this episode was great. It is all about the whites and Alaric experimenting with the whites and the crucible from the episode before, and the things that go bump in the night and awry from that experimentation.
Yeah. Do you want to give a little synopsis of it there, Calypso? So for anyone that hasn't, you should have listened to it. And if not, right, we will not judge you. If you were listening to us on anything on Spotify or on YouTube later on or anything like that, we will not be offended. Pause this, go listen to it, and then come back. If you're listening to us live, that means you pay enough attention that you've probably listened to it live.
Yes. Thanks for listening to it live, guys. Thanks for listening to it later on. Hi, everybody in chat. So the synopsis for this episode is, I'll try to be, I guess there's going to be some spoilers in here.
Look, we're assuming you've listened to it by now. So if you're listening to us right
this
now,
is your spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. If not, go listen to the episode on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, whatever your podcast nature is.
Oh, by the way, if you're listening to us on Spotify or on any of those other channels, don't forget to give a little like or a comment underneath and to share because it really, really helps. I know people say that a lot and they say, oh, how does that help? Trust me, on the back end, it really helps. So any bit of assistance you can give us doesn't cost any money. Hit that like, hit that share, whatever.
Feed the algorithm.
Feed it.
Yes. So spoiler warning, everybody. This is your last chance. Turn away now, and then come back and listen to this episode of Deadhaus Whispers. So the synopsis is Alaric, entranced by his discoveries that his beginning experiment worked in the last episode, he's decided to harness the Crucible's power to resurrect the dead, and which he calls them whites. He notices that the whites are kind of brain dead, for lack of a better description.
Don't
in,
need to be
in
dead for
that,
that, but okay.
a bit brain dead, where he will give them directions, but then it's only for a fleeting minute. The way he gives them these directions are with his chimes, ding, that he has been using. Great foreshadowing there for that one. The chimes that he's been using to control or to calm people's minds. They have some sort of magical ability. And he uses that to control the whites. But he notices that the chimes eventually wear down and they stop working as much as possible. Eventually, like an hour turns into a couple of minutes, and a couple of minutes turns into maybe a couple of seconds. So he knows one of the whites is gonna like maybe kill him or something afterwards, but he's scared. So what he does is he decides to experiment a little bit more with these chimes, and finally decides to build a device where he can harness the Crucible's energy permanently into the white. So he grabs one of the dead bodies and one of the corpses, cuts it open in a brutal like auditory journey of grossness and breaking bones. Builds a really cool glass jar and metal thing that can contain some of the energy of the Crucible, and puts it in the chest cavity or the stomach or whatever. He even carves open the brain and puts a little piece of like chime in there into the white's brain, so they can constantly be hearing the chimes as they move or as they walk, so he can always have control over these creatures that he has created. He is Dr. Frankenstein in a sense. We get some helpful insight, or not so helpful insight, from the ghoul, and some patronizing from the ghoul as well.
Oh, the ghoul's just legendary in this one, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
when
no,
we're done with the
he's so
synopsis.
good. He's so good. And the episode, and in Alaric's discovery that he now can control these whites, he has one sleep and watch over him as he is sleeping. A servant comes in and is startled by the creepy dead body that's standing over him. The white accidentally or on purpose reaches out and kills the servant. He then feeds the servant to the ghoul, and then that sort of ends the episode there, and what the future holds for Alaric and the whites.
We had another little bit of fun though with that. So not only did we have the issue with the servant, which by the way, if no one else got the whole young Frankenstein Mel Brooks bit from that, like I don't know how many people got it, but like he snapped his neck, and Alaric's like, "No, why did you do that?" And he just twists the head back, and then he's like, "That's not what I meant. That won't do anything." And he just twists it
turns it back. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
That and the whole, it's like, show me, like, what did it want to do with me? It's like, show me with the chair what you'd have done if you got to me. And the ghoul's like, give me the chair, I'll show you what I did.
Yeah, like, no, the ghoul is great in this episode.
And there was a beautiful little teaser, shall we say.
Yes, there was.
Alaric told him to stand guard. I fail to understand how the white is at fault. Instructions unclear. Killed other servant. But like, there was a lovely little bean dropped at the end of the episode.
Yes, there was.
Remember when he had to go to talk to the emperor? What was that about, Calypso?
Perhaps to start an army of these things.
But what was the emperor worried about? A lot of people overlook this.
Oh, that's right. The emperor was worried about if I misheard it, the Crimson Cult.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they're called? The Crimson Cult?
Seems like that's important.
Yeah, it does.
Seems almost like that has something to do with Seven Sons of Twilight, if anyone wants to go back and reread.
To paraphrase Alaric, what does a cult or something have to do with my experiments? I have something more important to do, you know?
He's like, they'll be wiped out with all the rest of us if Deadhaus is in charge.
And I believe the Crimson Cult is in, oh man, I can't remember the name anymore. Starts with an S, not Seigsturl.
Siegstrand?
Siegstrand, yes. That is, I believe, where all the mischief with this Crimson cult is happening, if I recall from the
Be
episode.
very, very interesting.
See, I heard Crimson Count
The
when, and I was
Crimson Count.
the Crimson Count. Okay, well, that can only be Zoran. That can only be Zoran. So is it a Zoran thing? But then I rewowed it as Crimson Cult. So yes, that's important for the future. And also, he wants to start maybe an army. Not just one white would not have to do. I would need thousands or something like that.
He wanted to take back He wants to make an army of whites.
Yeah, he wants to take back Fort Zystra. Yes, because then he would show the Emperor that these creatures can be used for good things.
Because it takes the dead to fight the dead. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, no. Nothing at all.
This is a perfectly solid and flawless idea that couldn't possibly have repercussions.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Go away now. But this episode was great. I think it had just enough like the pacing. I will say, I think the pacing of this episode is the best so far. Like the beginning, the middle, and the ending lead up are done like perfectly well. Not to say the other episodes aren't bad in that front either. It's just, I think this one, I think maybe it was because the payoff of everything, and like the way that we see Alaric explore the whites and how they're working, and I just think that's really interesting. I think also the sound design is just top tier again. The the bit,
hats off to Felipe and all the crew working on that.
Yeah,
wow.
The bit where he's like, "Oh, I broke the bones," and you hear the bones crack, and you hear the hammer go down on the scan, and then like, "Oh, and I had to saw open the skull, and my arm started to get hurt." And you hear it, and it's just so visceral. Him opening a rib cage. It's so gross, but it was so great. So I'll mute this one and work on other things. Or you can put on the episode right now. Put on the episode
now. I just thought it was phenomenal, and I only realized last night because I wasn't really paying too much attention, because we've got a nice distance between each of these as we're listening to them at launch. If someone comes to listen to these later on, like there's a lot of this. Like this is going to be like movie levels worth of stuff for this season.
Oh yeah, this one was like 30 minutes, 20, almost 30 minutes, I think.
Like look at how long the last few have been.
Yeah, they've been long.
They're all long, and the next ones are long also, by the way.
Yes. This past episode, where are you, Deadhaus Sonata? Dragons Forbidden Truth.
Bloodlines is my personal favorite, not biased by class or anything. Sure, Scar.
Of Power is 26 minutes and 48 seconds.
And then the one before that?
And then the one before that, the one of Luck was another big boy. Of Luck was 31 minutes and 16 seconds. And I want to say there was one hasn't there one that's been like 40 minutes? Okay, no, they've all been close to 30 minutes. They've all been close to 30 minutes. Of Hope was 27 minutes. So basically half an hour. That's here's the thing. It was half an hour, but it felt like I was there. I was listening for 5 minutes.
Each of them. So when we started, Of Morsels is 30 minutes, Of Bloodlines is 21, Of Hope is 27, Of Luck is 31, Of Power is 26, and I'm not allowed to talk about the other two, but they're all long. So like that's like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, nearly 3.5, almost 4 hours by the time, like about 3.5 hours for this season, which is quite a lot of work when you think about it.
And then you take into the consideration of the first season, and each episode was roughly 10 minutes long. So that's another hour.
That was just a little tease. That was a little tease intro. Yeah. But here's the fun part of that. Most people don't think about this. There are groups of people that just put out like radio plays and audio dramas and all. This is casually done on the side as world building as we await the upcoming release of Deadhaus Sonata. Yeah. Like you gotta love the fact of this is so much lore and world building done like on the side, so to speak. Like,
Yes.
not to sideline the work. It's a tremendous amount of work, but it is also like not the main thing that's being done. It's just, it shows how Dennis and the crew are weaving narrative into everything. And that's been the goal. Like, they want players to be able to weave their own narrative with this, but by doing that, they're showing you, here's the story. There's some of it in books. Here's some YouTube videos. Here's some radio plays. Here's like like, this is a massive undertaking. By the time this is released and the lore surrounding it and all, it'll be absolutely massive. And you think about that for a small indie studio.
Oh yeah, I think some of the best. I think the best part is that Deadhaus was doing this before other games decided to do this.
Yep.
Like I think the big hit of this week has been Callisto Protocol's release date. The basically the Dead Space that the original designer wanted to make back in the day. That came out with a prequel podcast series, 1 episode a week leading up to the day of release, right? Really good series, fantastic, great everything, production, actors, audio drama, whatever, fantastic. Deadhaus was doing that before this thing. You know, other games are starting to do it with the whole podcast cross media sort of thing. Deadhaus did it. Deadhaus was doing it first. Like, Dennis is ahead of the curve on this one.
Imitation's the most sincere form of flattery.
Yes. Like, I think even TV shows are doing that now. Oh, hey guys, you just finished episode 1 of Wednesday on Netflix. Come to listen to the podcast.
I think it'll be more interesting because they're like, as they go to try copy Deadhaus, because I'm blessed enough to be able to see things before they're happening with my position. I think a lot of people struggle to pivot to try copy to keep up, because you know, when you copy, you have to wait for someone else to do something first. But when you're just coming up with all these cool ideas, you're not copying anyone. You don't have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to be taken aback a bit by what's going to be on the next stream. And then the next radio play is definitely going to be, let's just say the next radio play is going to start blowing minds. You can hold me to that. Ah, yes. Ian,
I believe you.
hello, sir.
Yes. Ian, what's
Hero
up?
of the stream right there, Ian. He's the first one to come in and say, ah, yes. Fantastic.
Bringing it back, baby. We're bringing it back.
Oh, we never let it go.
Welcome. Yeah, that's true. We have it.
But yeah, from the lore perspective, like, you're chasing others, you'll forever be in their shadow. Whereas whenever you're trying to innovate yourself, you know, you don't have to wait on someone else coming up with the idea. You're doing it yourself. Yeah.
And there's a positive and a negative effect. It's like you do something first and it either works or it doesn't work. And if it works, then great, everyone will steal it. If it doesn't work, lesson learned.
It's going to fall flat in its face.
Yeah.
Happens, but you need to fail a few times like that in order to succeed. Not everyone succeeds first time, every time on everything.
Yeah.
Like the Callisto Protocol.
I am thoroughly enjoying it as I am playing it.
That's the important part.
I understand the people's gripes. It's like Scorn. It's like a Scorn again. Like, not everybody is gonna dig it. You know, it's not for everyone.
But I heard Scorn worked at launch.
Yeah,
that's true.
It was just a mechanical issue. But yeah, that's the only thing. Anyway,
I don't blame the devs on that. I have a weird sneaking suspicion that it's got to do with certain anti-piracy software.
Yes, I've heard of that as well.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, what am I playing that's like Scorn from Ian? Scorn was amazing. I love Scorn. I finished Scorn. Currently, I'm playing. I loved it. I loved it from start to finish. I'm currently playing the Callisto Protocol, that new Dead Space like, which is weird to say that Dead Space like is now a genre, which is just the most insane thing I never thought I would say.
Call me weird. While everyone was getting into Dead Space, and there's nothing wrong with Dead Space, it's just like I was looking in another direction. Everyone, I think it was about, they were around the same time when they came out. Everyone went to Dead Space. I went towards Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno was so good, but that was a Devil May Cry like, my friend.
Yeah, or God of War like.
Or God of War like.
It's kind of
either or, yeah. That's so. Isn't that weird how that works? Like.
And now a God of War like isn't like God of War at all.
No, it's not. It's
God
like
of War has
something.
completely changed.
Yeah,
I'm
God
just
of War
excited
is.
for the Dead Space remake. It looks incredible. It is looking
It
really
does.
tasty.
I had my doubts. I definitely had my doubts, especially because it's that one company. Um, and it's actually looking really good. They released the first 20 minutes, like the actual this is what happens when you hit new game, and it's what my brain remembers it looking like, but I know it's not. And Isaac Clarke can actually speak now, which is insane to hear. But like, it's definitely looking fantastic. I'm super excited for the
Don't
Dead Space remake.
don't go back. Rose tinted glasses are cruel and evil. Because,
Oh,
like,
oh
I'll
yeah,
give you an example. Final Fantasy Reunion in the Crisis Core. This is coming
they're
out
doing a
soon,
remake,
right?
right? Yeah, they're doing a
Yeah,
remake or
it's
whatever.
kind of a remake revamp, right? So IGN put up a video where they're giving a comparison, and I remember the game looking gorgeous, but oh my god, it looks really bad. But for the day, that was incredible. But
Oh
now
yeah.
it's like, ooh, oh, that's not good at all. It's
No,
like, what's funny
it's
is
so
Final
weird.
Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII. Yes, I'm old enough to have been excited and played it when it was new. Leave me alone. You know, when people play the remake, to me, that's what the original looked like at the
Oh yeah,
time.
it's
Like,
nuts. Yeah.
that's how the graphics were presented to me. I was like, "Oh my god, this is incredible." But if you look at it now, it
Oh,
looks
it's
like
just
a mobile game. Actually, I'm
like
fairly certain
yeah.
you can download it as a
You can
mobile game.
download it as a mobile game. Yeah, no, it's so weird that what was cutting edge back then is now a retro art style for, game design. Oh, it's retro now. It's the PlayStation 1 retro style. It's like we're at the point now where the cinematic cutscenes for PlayStation 1 games are what the games actually look like now. That's
Oh, better
insane.
even.
Oh
Better.
yeah, way better, way better. We're at that point where the Final Fantasy VII remake is basically just what Advent Children, the CG movie Advent Children looked like. You know what I mean?
I remember being
It's
floored by that movie. That
yeah,
was
dude.
unbelievably. I don't think I even
Yeah.
pay the first time I watched it, I don't think I could even pay attention to the story. I was just
Yeah,
still like,
no,
"Wow,
I'm
why
still in
can't
awe of the
video
visuals.
games look like this?
And
Here's
now
Final
they do.
Fantasy and God of War."
Yeah, yeah, now they do. Now you can see the pores on Kratos' skin in God of War.
I was
Like,
mollified at
dude.
Ragnarok, just sitting watching there's no spoilers, don't worry, but like the intro bit, you know, where you press start to start the game,
Yeah.
just because he's
Mhm.
sitting at the fire, it's like you can see the pores and wrinkles and scars in his head, just on his forehead. It's like someone done all of that. It's like, wow, that's incredible. Oh,
Oh, our first
look what
bot.
we got.
Congrats. Yay. We made it, guys. Our first bot.
There we go. Quick and easy.
Nice.
You know you're good. It wasn't the big follows, though. You're not famous until you get a big follows bot.
Oh yeah,
That's how
definitely.
you know. But yeah, they look like that now, which is just absolutely insane to me. Like the fact that someone went and done all of that with Kratos, and people are like, oh yeah, but that's what we expect. One, you don't need to be so entitled. Two, an awful lot of people spent a very, very long time making that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember when God of War 3, when a big talking point for God of War 3 was the model for Kratos. Like they put so much money and time into the model for the God of War 3 Kratos, you know,
Mm.
which is where like that was cutting edge and oh my god, Kratos looks real. And now it's like that looks
That
like
looks like garbage by comparison.
yeah, it's insane. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Do you think we will get to the point now where when you take like the new Unity HD and Unreal 5 and all of these engines that we have now, will we plateau again, do you think? So do you remember years ago we got to a plateau where the graphics were as good as they could get, and then developers actually had to start working on gameplay because they
Yeah,
couldn't just
we're
rely on
there.
shiny
We're
graphics? Do you
we're
think
there
we've got
already.
there again?
Yeah, we're there already. Case in point, the Callisto Protocol. Visually, it is, especially if you have a next gen system. Like I say, next gen. If you're on
Hmm.
PC and you have like a ray tracing card and you can run it at max settings, and everything cranked to the top, we are at that point where it is photorealistic. Character models, being that they're based off of the actors, actually look like the actors this time. It's not, what could the actor look like, or a rough sketch of what the actor whose likeness they're using looks like in earlier games. It is the actual actor playing that person. We're there where it's the actual person. It's photorealistic. Visually, we're at like the peak of the peak, and now it is just gameplay. And like I'm loving the Callisto Protocol, but I understand why people are saying the gameplay is lacking, when everything else around them, visuals, environment, sound, is top tier, is perfect, but the gameplay is the only part that's lacking. You know, it's like Scorn, one of the most visually impressive games I've seen this year, beautiful in every way, but I understand why people think, that the gameplay's lacking because it's a puzzle game.
I was
Like,
absolutely astonished by that. That Scorn was just absolutely stunning.
oh yeah, no, I took so many screenshots and just video just of me standing there for about 5 minutes just recording the landscape, to get the music and the atmosphere and everything else. Um, I am blue in the face. I don't care what your games look like if it's dropping frame rates horrendously every 3 seconds.
Hmm.
Yes, I agree. Um, I agree, but that's like a conversation for like consoles and stuff. Like the thing with console development is that you're locked to a certain set of systems, and you're like locked in a box and you can't go out that box. So you have to work with inside of that box to get it to perfection. When you're on PC, and you have to account for the thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon millions of tiny little specifications that every user or person is using, and trying to find a happy medium to where it kind of can go fluctuate in and out to where it works on everyone's systems.
It's a very
But because
difficult
you're locked in on
process.
a console, it's easier.
It's a very difficult process because like the vast majority of people look at it where the game is developed on PC, so it should be on PC, and then there's a console port. But what happens a lot recently is it's developed for console, and then
Yeah.
there is the PC port.
Yep.
Now we're getting to the point where the technology is there and the system architecture is there where it shouldn't be too difficult. Like an Xbox is essentially just a mildly watered down gaming PC.
Yeah. You
Like
can
it's an
build the same
affordable
system.
gaming
Yeah.
PC for someone that doesn't want to build a gaming PC. PlayStation, same thing. Architecture is a bit different, but the idea is solid. Now, a lot of them, depending on what way they're leaning, who they're published with, and what way they're working, they're designing them either for the console and then thinking about PC, or vice versa, for PC and then thinking about console. A lot of that comes down to experience. We also need to mention the elephant in the room, if we have to be careful around dancing around that topic. Things like Denuvo and anti-cheat software. That will instantly, especially for PC, hamstring things straight
Oh
away.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand why. Like, I'm not going to give out and say people shouldn't use anti-cheat. No, I understand why companies do. It doesn't seem to help a whole lot, but I understand the concept. I don't understand how anti-cheat can't be done without severely hamstringing a game, though. Like, surely they can work this technology around that it doesn't greatly affect performance.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how anti-cheat works when
It's
it's
usually data
when it's
transmission back and
is
forth, but
that's what I was wondering. Like,
hmm,
is it constant? If something is constantly running in the background, checking and doing checks, like constant checks down a list to see if it works, and then bumping back up to see if something is there or something is not, then yeah, you're gonna see stutters or whatever. But if you have good, arguably good anti-cheat software, it should be fast enough to where it can check like lightning, and then like it's never happened. If it's
yeah.
constantly checking.
Because
Um,
it has hamstringed a lot of games at launch where they've had like Denuvo or Easy Anti Cheat or a load of these ones, and it's completely tanked the game's
oh yeah,
playability. And then they end up needing to patch it, or some cases remove it, for the game to be functional because it hadn't been factored in. Now, is that a dev side problem? Is that the anti cheat side problem? Or, I don't know,
mhm.
because I don't know enough about that end of the development spectrum, but I've imagined that should have been tested. you
Yeah.
know? And again, they
Yeah.
don't need to really worry about that as greatly on consoles. I know this stuff is still there, but it's a lot more difficult to do on a console than it is that, because even straight off the bat, like there's already a kind of a background anti-cheat in regards to having like PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live and stuff, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah. It's like built in or whatever for them.
Yeah.
But I think for PCs, it's like an external thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like, I think to circle back around, it's like all I remember, I guess to trail off for 1 second is like I remember just on the launch of Dishonored 2 and how it's a great game, but everybody remembers the launch for being a stuttery, like broken mess because of anti-cheat software, because of like Denuvo for Steam and crap like that. And then I want to say Bethesda actually patched it out and just got rid of it and like did something else to avoid cheating or going with Valve's own system that they have or whatever for it. But yeah, it's like I mean, I don't know why. I guess I understand why anti-cheats there, but at the same time, I think it's all just a money factor. I'll give us a crap ton of money and we'll throw your thing into our game as a workaround for pirates, which doesn't really stop pirates, but that's
The funny part is that when you bring up the concept of piracy, in pirating games, there's been studies done, and people don't like these studies being brought out. The kinds of people that would pirate your game were never going to buy your game anyway. And the people
Mhm.
that are going to buy your game are the ones that end up with the anti cheat stuff. So you're punishing the people that are legitimately trying to support you. Whereas, what is it? The speed running thing is like less than a day.
Yeah.
Like when a game comes out, they'll have cracked it in less than a day. I remember Doom Eternal, it was only a few hours
Oh yeah,
and
of
they had
course.
it cracked and done. So like pirates ended up with a better version of Doom Eternal than people who paid the money. So like it's a weird double-edged sword you have to play with, you know? If you pirate a game, you often get better performance. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
can be an issue, and that should be the other way around, to be honest with you.
no,
Although I
there's
do love it when developers put weird things into games that if you pirated the game will mess you over.
yeah, I do enjoy that. I think there's one of my favorite like stories, like developer stories is have you ever played Darkwood? Do you know about Darkwood?
I know the game, but I haven't played it. No.
Okay, so Darkwood's done by a small like Polish developer, Ukrainian developer, I think. And they released their game, they launched it and stuff like that, but people were having issues with the anti-cheat stuff that they put in, and they're like, you know what guys, here, and they put their own game, the developers put their own game up on Pirate Bay, up on a pirate site for people to download and to play. And they're like, all we ask is if you enjoy it, please buy it from our direct website, or get it through this digital store that gives us the
That's
most amount of money.
essentially going the free to play model.
Yeah, it's literally it was like, "Hey guys, but if you pirate the game, please enjoy. We
I
won't be
was
updating it. It'll be like the lowest updated version, as opposed to the purchased version, but like here it is." And they released it and it was
I like the
fine.
games like Serious Sam where it had like this invincible scorpion that would follow you
Yeah,
or something
doesn't
like that. Or my favorite one being what was it, Game Development Simulator?
mm,
It's one of
mm,
those games where it's like a Sims game type thing where you run a game development studio, and if you've pirated the game, every game you release in the game, you will lose the game because your game in the game keeps getting pirated.
keeps getting pirated. That's
I
fantastic.
love that. I love those. Well, didn't you tell me one before about how they released one and something happened when
Yeah,
people pirated the game and people went on the forum complaining about it?
yeah. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I want to say it was either Rockstar, one of the GTAs maybe, where it's like if you pirated the game, um, you couldn't get past like the tutorial level or something. And I know there's another one, Bully, the old Rockstar game Bully. I think if you pirated the game, every character in the entire game was wearing a dunce hat, like one of those white like dunce caps. Every single NPC, and you could not take it off. You could not remove it. You couldn't customize your character or anything because you were wearing the dunce cap or whatever for Bully. But yeah, I know there's one where it's like if you pirated it, then it stopped working completely, and like it, you couldn't get past the first 20 minutes, or you couldn't get past the loading screen or whatever. It was something ridiculous. I'm sure the Witcher series had some pirating funny moments or whatever.
I just like the one of The Witcher there. If you keep killing the cows, the spirit.
Yeah,
of the
that's a
Lord
great
actually-
Easter egg. That's a great Easter egg.
That's coming out this week, actually.
It
This
is,
the
and I
upcoming
am
week.
super excited. I want to play a little bit more before I install the update, just to say this was the
Can
old
I
game.
spend another 150 hours? And of course I can. Yes,
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, can I finally
Cyberpunk
finish
is
the
just
game?
going to get pushed further down the list.
Yeah. You're better off waiting for that game anyway, but they'll update it more, I'm sure.
I've been told it's finally playable.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I enjoyed my early access time with Cyberpunk 2077.
No, apparently
it's
it is
fun.
really good and functional now.
Yeah.
I have been told.
Which only took them 2+ years of development. Crazy how that works.
It's almost like
Companies.
things released early are bad.
Yes.
And if you give the developers time, it will be infinitely better. But again, it's down to patience with people. There's a lot of people that get really angry when a game is delayed. Like, I understand being disappointed. It happened to me bringing back up Doom Eternal. I got slightly disappointed that it was delayed. I was like, oh, I wish this was coming out sooner. Oh, well, they probably needed to do that. And then I know it's with every other game when it's like, this has been delayed. Good. It probably, if they're publicly delaying it, it probably needed a bit more time. Because otherwise, again, we've had so many. We didn't start with, but the most recent big blunder was Cyberpunk, and then the most recent being Callisto Protocol. Like, don't rush it. These things take time.
Yeah.
Oh, by the gods, Scara.
That's
213 hours on record for Cyberpunk. You like it, do you?
I have tops I think I have tops 50 hours maybe, and that's just from main story and a bunch of side quests, and that's it. I maybe played for about an hour when I watched the Cyberpunk anime, and
I've been told to play it before I watch the Cyberpunk anime.
Yes, because it's just spoilers abound for everything. Like, they say you can watch the anime and then play the game. No, just play the game. Don't do any of the Edge Runner side quests until you finish the game, and then go back and do that stuff.
Question:
and then watch
is it one of those games where you can finish the game and keep going, or does it finish it and you have to start a new game? Is there an end game, basically?
There's an end game. It finishes, and then it boots you back to, here's a couple hours before you finished the game, or you went. It does that Grand Theft Auto thing where it's like, even though you finished the game, we're starting you off at the last mission, to where if you want to do the last mission again, you can. If you want to just roam around and have fun, you can.
Hello.
The anime is a prequel, but it's got spoilers up the butt.
Yeah.
And it's like, you won't know anything about the world if you don't. You'll be totally going in blind,
That's what I was curious to find out. Was it that? Because that's something I always have a weird little bit of anxiety when playing a game, is that, does it have an end game or does it not? So do I rush through and finish this or not? Little spoilers for Elden Ring there. It has an end game. So even when you finish it, you can still keep playing. That's all I want to know. Or is it one of those, I finished it and it's like, oh, so I don't get to go and do those other things. Okay. Could have warned me about that. I like that The Witcher does that, actually. It tells you the last quest and it says, do everything before this, for the expansion stuff. If you want to do this, do it before this particular point, I
gotta finish The Witcher. Because the remake is coming out in 5 years. I gotta finish The Witcher.
So predictions for the next Deadhaus. For the story. Where are we going?
There was something that I forgot to mention, is there's a bit in the drama where Alaric falls asleep and has a strange dream. And that strange dream, he's in a weird cyclopean looking city with a giant triangle, and he looks in water and sees his reflection. He's just kind of has glowing fire eyes, and it's all just terribly spooky and odd. I think that's going to be the next episode, is like his strange prophetic dreams that he's been having or something, with strange glowy eyes or whatever is going to
Yeah, where
be.
he got the weird idea how to make the stuff.
Yeah, like I
It's
think that's going
almost
to
like
be.
someone put that idea in his head.
Perhaps. I wonder. Yeah, it's. I think, but I think we're gonna get. It's something's big gonna happen, because we have the lead up to the. We have the buildup of all this with the blood vials and the vampires and the whites and the ghoul and everything. So something's gotta.
He's got
Something
a
big is gotta
little
happen.
sampling of nearly every class in
Yeah, so
his
it's like, why not,
laboratory.
I think there's gonna be a war thing, because in the ending of this recent episode, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to war, and I'm gonna make a bunch of whites, and I'm gonna tell the emperor and stuff."
Now, for the uninitiated, do you remember what the white class description is?
I'm
If
I've
not, I
done
can pull it up.
I've
I have
doing
it
this
up
thing
here.
forever. Okay, yeah, go for it.
The White. In the war with Deadhaus, the Thasian Empire has utilized every resource available to them. Brave men-at-arms, machines of war, sorcery, and pleas to the divine were all employed with varying levels of success. But for every victory, there were 2 defeats. City by city, land by land, the Thasians were pushed back, driven northward by the ceaseless march of the dead. Routed to their innermost territories, they devised a new strategy in desperation. They would turn the strength of Deadhaus against itself. They would oppose the dead with the dead. At the behest of his Grand Inquisitor, the Emperor called upon the most skilled and learned alchemists of his nation. Together with the Grand Inquisitor's research, they developed the capacity to create an undead entirely under their control, a construct of interwoven limbs and parts animated by alchemy, a white. The impact of the war was immediate. Whites, like the undead they have been created to face, were tirelessly assembled from multiple cadavers. Their variegated bodies could be disassembled and reconstructed to fit the needs of their assignment. A white sent to the front lines could be grafted with heavy armor plating to absorb blows intended for the living. If city walls needed defending, the white's arm could be replaced with a gunpowder device that its other arm could fire and reload. So long as the material wasn't silver, a white could be fitted with a myriad of tools, weapons, and apparatuses. When it became apparent that the use of the whites was beginning to turn the war, the emperor demanded mass production, and soon whites began to appear on nearly every battlefield. Even when struck down, a white could be repaired, so long as its core remained intact. But their bodies could not consist entirely of mechanical parts. Some portion of flesh was required to contain the essence of a white, for flesh is the housing of the soul, and that was the secret to which the Grand Inquisitor had built them. Through alchemy, he had learned to artificially create the substance from which souls are made. And so the essence of a white's creation became the essence of its undoing. Without any sign or warning, for reasons unknown, some whites began to awaken. The essence in the cores that animated them spontaneously gave rise to sentient souls. Whether standing guard, hauling weight, or in the midst of battle, these whites simply stopped following their commands. In some instances, they turned on their masters, tearing them apart. In others, they simply wandered from the battlefield. Some roamed alone, ranging until their limbs fell off, or ranging, that is in traveling until their limbs fell off, or until they reached the sea and they just kept walking. Some stood unmoving, never reacting to nor even acknowledging the Thasians who came to disassemble them. But a portion of these awakened whites marched south, and there they found Deadhaus waiting with open arms.
Bum bum bum.
It's almost as if all this lore has been very neatly crafted and tied together from the beginning.
So I think that's gonna be the next episode. There's your answer. I think it's
Hey,
gonna be the war,
do
and
you
the emperor's gonna be like, "Oh, this is awesome. Let's do this. Let's have more."
do you want to know an interesting little bean?
Hmm.
And I'm fairly safe in being able to say this publicly, considering multiple people, including Scara himself here in the chat, came and told me. I knew it, but very few people have picked up on it. What's the very first lines of the radio play, Calypso?
218. Whatever the
No,
date. The date.
before that.
The uh, what do you mean? That's after Deadhaus. No, to the year, right? The month. What?
From the
What?
diary of Alaric
Oh,
von
yeah,
Bellen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I feel dumb now.
Who knows
From
if
the
it's even
diary.
Alaric reading them?
You're right. Dun dun dun.
This
The
could be
plot
some
thickens.
4D chess move where you're being read these by another character
Ooh,
who's
that's
reading
crazy.
you Alaric's diary. Who knows? You don't know what way any of this goes.
Yeah. Oh,
Because honestly, I don't think anyone expected Venduk. I know for a
yeah.
fact no one expected the ghoul to be sentient, let
Nope,
alone
I
so
didn't.
talkative with a wicked sense of humor.
He's such a good character. He's such a good character. Who is Jack writing all of these?
Jack's doing a good portion of the writing.
Okay. Whoever helped characterize the ghoul
There's a lot.
is
There's a group
there's
of people at work because I do know that there's feedback given by some of the voice actors as well.
yeah. If it was who's the voice actor of the ghoul again?
Matthew Curtis.
If it was Matthew Curtis's idea to have the ghoul be the way that he is, that's a great idea. That's fantastic.
Like
It'll never get old.
I'll tell you here now because I can get these up. Maybe you can remember it this time.
Maybe.
We have Alaric, played by George Ledoux.
Yeah.
We have the Ghoul, played by Matthew Curtis. And the Servant, by the way, in the most recent episode, it was also Matthew Curtis.
Oh, okay.
And
Dual
then
voice acting.
our favorite guy, Chris Sharps, who you may know from other parts of this that I'm not allowed to talk too much about because I can't remember what's public and what isn't. But yeah, he's the voice of Victor.
Yes, Victor.
Who has an absolutely wicked sense of humor whenever you pick up the Sunblade.
Dude, that's still one of my favorite lines. Like,
why am I still holding it?
Yeah, no, I do like that there's the demo. The demo has more dialogue and stuff now. I think it's great. And like yeah, it's a great little demo. It's a great little demo.
It's
and
not even a demo, it's just a combat arena.
Yeah, combat arena. Well, combat
a
arena.
Real demo fun. Will be quite interesting, I imagine.
Yeah, combat arena is fun. And I do like I think in one of the latest updates, like when you turn into mist form, it's like old school Blood Omen where it doesn't zip you to a blue dimension to show that you're there. It just shows that you are in mist form now, like OG Blood Omen or Blood Omen 2 or whatever. It's so cool, man. I love it's the little things, but it's the little things that make it amazing and fun as hell. And like, oh wow, the nostalgia is kicking in and all this stuff. It's awesome. Like I was literally smiling and chuckling while playing the combat arena a couple of days ago. Like, it's so fun.
Why? Does something particular get you, or
no? Just like I was just having fun, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually fun." And the voice acting is funny, and sometimes, and like the little stuff, like the telekinesis throws are all never gets old. The whole turning into mist, and you actually turn into mist form and stuff is really cool this time. And like I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I literally said that out loud. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like,
not gonna lie, the first time I heard it, I got this was before it even went public. I got the biggest, stupidest grin on my face. it still happens occasionally when it happens whenever you slice someone and you just hear "Ve Victus."
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like it's so good. It never gets old. It never gets old. It's so good.
It's like
Like,
that's a harken back to remember. Yes, we're back.
yeah. When I first heard it, I literally like my reaction was like, "Oh no way, he said it!" Like,
That tickled the little lizard part of the brain. He
yeah,
said the thing. He said.
yeah. It's great. It's so good. It's so good.
I
See,
think
there's
we'll need to
moments.
wrap it up with that, dude.
Yeah, I think so.
You were saying though, there's moments.
I was saying like there's moments like that that just make things all the more better. And then I started thinking about Eternal Darkness, but that can be another episode for another time.
I have a feeling that could be an episode after the next radio play.
Yeah. So, but with that said, everybody, I, Calypso, and Faceless Mike, hope you enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to check out everything Deadhouse Sonata related at deadhousesonata.com. That's HAUS sonata.com, deadhousesonata.com, like Bauhaus, but Deadhouse. You can follow Deadhouse, or you can follow me on Twitter at Necrolibriatus, as well as Instagram and stuff. You can follow me on YouTube if you Google anything Deadhouse Sonata related or whatever. I am there. You can follow Faceless Mike on Twitter at The Faceless Mike, on Instagram at The Faceless Mike, Twitch, all that jazz. You can follow Deadhouse Sonata on Twitter at Deadhouse Game, on Instagram at Deadhouse Game, on Facebook at Deadhouse Sonata, on the Reddit. We have the Reddit.
Yes,
we are
and
also
we are
now
finally on Twitter and on
Yes.
all the socials now, and I promise
At-
we will keep up with them.
Yes, and it's actually at Deadhouse Whispers. There's no Deadhouse Whispers 1 or no Deadhouse Whispers like 25, 6 or whatever. It is Deadhouse Whispers on Twitter, on Instagram. I think we have a Facebook page. I don't know. But we're there. We're there, guys. We are there.
And
finally.
if you are listening to this anywhere else, like on Spotify or anything like that after the fact, you can check us out on YouTube by just putting in at Deadhouse Whispers, because apparently that works on YouTube now.
Yeah, they have tags now, or icons, or I forgot what they're called, but yeah, that's a thing now on YouTube. So yes, that's the other thing. I guess I'll throw this out there. If you're on YouTube, you can go to YouTube and then at Calypso694, because someone stole the other Calypso. So I had to put some numbers at the end of it. So, and then of course, at Deadhouse Whispers, and then maybe even at Deadhouse Sonata as well on YouTube. I don't know.
If you go to the website, you will have access to it all.
Yes,
and if you just search Deadhouse Sonata, it will come up first thing on YouTube.
Yes, everything is there. So have fun with all that, guys. And we hope you have enjoyed this rousing episode of Deadhouse Whispers. And we will see you all in the next one.
See you.
Bye, everyone.